talking, I don't sweat that. If they don't trust me either, I respect that. But she need down the ride, oh, I bet that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that.
Afternoon, good evening. How y'all doing, Postal fam? What's up? This is JH, man. We ain't gonna go through all the other foolishness. Who we got with us today?
Yo, back at you. Your boy Chooch, representing Philly, representing the Philly suburbs, coming at you from the greatest place on earth with JH. You know what I mean? We represent all things postal, craft employees, those who do the job right, those who do the job hard. Let's go.
Let's go. So tell me, a lot of people don't know who you are. We're doing this podcast thing together that's coming up. So anybody that's watching me right now, make sure you stick around. We're going to be dropping some information about the podcast. It's going to be myself and a couple other people. We're going to be having guests on, etc. But for today, I got Chooch here, which is a Table 1 carrier. Is that right?
That is correct. 18-year Table 1 letter carrier.
Okay, so you got a little experience.
You could say I have, quite a bit of experience.
Okay, I'm not gonna do too many pleasantries here. We know each other behind the scenes, but
Yes, we do.
there's been a lot going on, man. A lot going on with the post office. I really don't want to talk about the contract too much. What I like to talk about is reality, man. Reality from what you've seen from when it started to where it's at now, from back in the earlier days to where we're at now. And I want to see if you have some information that maybe you could share that could help the new people or even help anybody that has been here for some time.
Absolutely. I got deep-rooted memories and a hell of a photographic memory when it comes to postal service memories. It's just all in there. So fire away. I'm glad to help.
Okay, cool. Um, there's a taboo word called Weingarten rights. Do you know what that's about?
Mm, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Weingarten writes, if you are a union member, NALC, APWU, even the representation of the management, rural carriers, your Weingarten rights are a very important thing that you should be keenly aware of. To say that if you run into a little issue with our friends in management, you have the rights, the Weingarten rights that are written in the books. That is, deep rooted, way back from the creation of the unions. To say that if management tries to, persuade you to step into that office, you are allowed to say to them, I choose to not follow you into that office until I have proper union representation in the room with me. Literature of Weingarten rights reads eerily similar to what I just said, but the general basis of it is that they have tried for many years to let people not find out about the Weingarten rights, and you all have them if you are a union paying member. So if management tries to get you to follow you into that room, into the office, saying get a PDI, or I just want to talk to you. No. See, tomfoolery there. They like to use that little tactic. We're not having a PDI. We're just having an official discussion. I would prefer to not have that discussion until my union is present, because that's when the fun and games begins, where they try to use misdirection and all sorts of other scare tactics. So your union rep can be in the room with you, or you can choose to go in there on your own. And again, you have to be keenly aware of what they're trained to do to you. So an experienced union member, or just a union member, that serves as your steward or your president, will be in that room with you because you said you wanted them to be there. You do not have to go into the room.
Beautiful,
Like,
beautifully said. So the Weingarten rights, it was established in 1975
yes,
in a case against the National Labor Relations Board versus J. Weingarten.
great name.
When you Step in there, you can request for representation. An employee must clearly request union representation before or during the interview. So number one, employer's options. The employer can either grant the request and wait for a representative to arrive, deny the request and end the interview, or give the employee a choice to continue without representation or end the interview. There's nothing in between that forces them to talk.
Correct.
It was created for the protection. Employees cannot be punished for requesting representation. And if the employer continues the interview without the representative, it is considered an unfair labor practice. So
it's about to hit 50 years old, people.
That's it.
That's about to hit 50 years old.
And specific wording for this, for anybody. This is basic and this is very specific wording. If this discussion could lead to disciplinary action, termination, or affect my working conditions, I respectfully request the presence of my union representative or steward. Without representation present, I choose not to participate in this discussion.
Beautiful.
Any manager that hears that actually knows, or supervisor that actually knows, they have to stop at that point.
Stop. And if they don't, you're gonna have a lot of explaining to do to your poom.
That's it. So they're supposed to be trained that way. They do have supervisor training, and they'll touch on it very lightly, but they'll never voluntarily tell employees, hey, if you don't want work, they'll never tell them.
No. They got that hook out, and they're trying to reel you into that damn. Again, I've had that moment well before, a long time ago. Like, I really, really have never run into anything heavy duty with management up until more recent times. I was on cruise control for 15, 16 of these 18 years. And then somebody decided that they wanted to reinvent the wheel at my station. So, you know what happens when someone tries to reinvent the wheel? It doesn't tend to work out.
Yeah, they like to change the culture on their terms.
Yep.
I got some basic questions for you, man, as a mail carrier. All right.
Please.
Oh boy. As a carrier, how does the Postal Service ensure that mail carriers are accountable for delivering mail accurately and on time? 2-minute answer. Give it to me.
Okay. How does the post office? I'm going to need 17 minutes. All right. Well, I said, now that, we have this amazing tech involved, accountability has become a staple now of the carrier intimidation from management worlds, where to say that you got that nice little cool device on you now, and that sucker is tracking you like crazy. And being that I've been here, well before that GPS was ever really installed, or, and just went about my day, you still more or less respected the idea that someone could be watching, someone could be out here. They used to do street checks all the time. Now you can barely get them out of the chair. They don't come out really. At least I haven't seen anybody, and no one has come up to me like back in the day. Someone would come up to me and like say, "Can I just see your driver's license?" and just make sure. I just want to make sure you're doing everything. So the accountability is all turned over to tech now, and the tech is become so ridiculously unusable in disciplinary stances, because it's just not. It's Atari grade at best. Atari was 1978, right around what time the Weingarten rights came out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. And they think that like they're going to be able to take that tech and that soul thing, that little blip going around and saying, okay, we got, it's a gotcha moment. Everything is a gotcha. And I just said, well, unfortunately, on this day it said that this was happening on my scanner, and then another day it said. So accountability on a carrier's part is to just say, you come back at the end of the day and they don't check your mail really. You go to the UBBM, you take your mail, you put the bad stuff in the UBBM, which is your unendorsable stuff, and then you have the 3M return area where you have your missorts, missents,
Right.
and your out of towns. So that's just all lumped up real, sloppily for the clerks the next day. And keys are turned in. I'll say in my office, keys, very accountable on the keys. They make sure that they all go into this cute little lockbox that you can bust open with your left finger, with your index finger if you wanted to. But nonetheless, it's locked up every night, and
Okay.
they want to see every key. So there's accountability, depending upon who feels like having accountability, because it just, Monday, this is the flavor of the day. We're going to be doing this, this, and this. And then the mail volume shows up, and then it's like, just get the mail done, guys, and get back. I want to go home. Right. So
So it
it's
goes
a
according to
flavor
how
of the
they
day.
feel.
It's a flavor of the day accountability. Yes.
Excuse me. So
Yep.
here's the thing. I
Mm.
want to ask you, because you've been here for this long length of period,
Mhm.
not trying to be funny. What kind of training and ongoing education do mail carriers receive to maintain the standards of service and accountability?
Are you reading from the Postal Pulse survey, sir?
No. No. What
Okay.
I'm doing
Okay.
is I know
I'm with.
personally,
I know
I
you're not.
know that there is supposed to be training just because of what I do.
Yes.
And I always run across carriers on a consistent
Mm.
basis. And I ask them, because I see all the training material come through and I hear what they talk about. And I say,
Mhm.
hey, were you trained on this? Were you trained on that? Were you ever trained about this? And then when it really came to fruition is when the rural carriers had
Mm.
their situation where they lost a big chunk of money.
With the
And they
Rex.
Right, and they were complaining that they were never trained properly on the new
Mm.
system. So,
Ah.
hearing that repetitiously, my question to you
Yes.
was, did you
Mm.
ever receive training with how those scanners work and what their real intentions were? That's why I'm asking that, because
Oh,
we see how
okay.
the route
Let's
adjustments are, etc., and
let
how it can
let
affect
let
you.
me just
You have
this
15
that's a
seconds.
great
No, I'm just kidding.
that's a great question. I can bust that out. I can bust this one out for much more than 15. All right, but when you start with the idea of training at the post office, to say that when I started, there was no such person who was designated as an on-the-job instructor who trained me. I went out with a very experienced carrier, but he had no designation as anything as a trainer. They said, Chooch, you're going to go out. Good. Chooch, you're going to go out.
No, wait. On that,
Mm,
I'm just going to emphasize for
mm,
anybody that is watching, if they were never trained by a certified, that's what
mm.
we have now. These people are coming to be certified
Yes.
instructors, what you didn't have.
We got 3 now, 2 that were certified in the last 2 weeks.
Exactly.
One is a yeah, yeah, 2 are longtime carriers, 1 is about a year and a half in, and they didn't come to me at any point. I
Right.
said, now I know I didn't come to me because I got too long of a route to be asking to be and they don't wanna send anybody out with me because I got the beast in my office, and like I said, we talk about the retirement routes, and me, I had the chance to take 2 cupcake routes in the
Mhm.
last couple of years, and I bypassed them both because I don't want a cupcake route. I'm still a young man as far as I'm concerned, and I still want to go out and do a hard day's work. And I like the fact that I have a camaraderie with my route after 14 years. And, it keeps me moving. I don't want to sit down on my butt and reach out the window all day. My town has a couple of routes like that. Um, my route keeps me mobile 99% of the day.
Okay.
So, yeah, that,
The
but
on the
training.
Right. The
Yeah,
on
go
the
ahead.
job instructor
On job
is
instruction was
is
not there
supposed to
now,
be
but yeah,
It's supposed to
it,
be today. They're supposed to be
yes.
having any new employee that comes in. If you get 10 new carriers,
Yep.
they're not supposed to all just come in and just go,
Nope.
oh, you going with Chooch, you going with Jim, you going with Jack. No,
It
there
was
are specific people that are set aside that
yep.
have to be trained into to be instructors that are supposed to be teaching you how to use a scanner, how to case your how to do every step of the way. Because back to
Are
the
you ready for the
original
punch?
question.
Are you ready for the punchline? You ready for the punchline?
Go for
Do
it.
you know how long the training session lasted for that newer carrier that just became our third OJI in my station?
Oh, how long?
One computer session in the supervisor's office that probably was around 2 to 3 hours, just sitting in front of a screen, no human being, basically like that old school infomercial they did back in the day about when the bombs were going to come hit, you had to get under your desk,
Right, right.
so what to do when a carrier is going to get into their truck. I'm like, I didn't really get a chance to talk to my man about it, but I just think I have a thing with training where I've taken many people out.
Mhm.
Back in the day, I haven't had anybody officially ride with me in quite a while. But the last person I took out to train, she's not a member of the Postal Service anymore. She didn't make it past 4 days. Because when we got into the LLV and it was her turn to operate the vehicle while I was going to occupy the jumper seat after showing her how to carry while I was driving, and she was observing for 2 whole days. And then the third day I said, you're going to take the wheel now. She got into the truck, she turned the vehicle on, and she proceeded to reach in for her Chick-fil-A breakfast sandwich and put the truck in drive. And I said, whoa, my dear, have you seen me eat anything behind the wheel of this vehicle? I said, you can't. Oh, I just thought, I needed to have my breakfast. And I said, yeah, you needed to do that before we got into the truck to go start delivering
Oh,
mail. I said,
man.
I'm telling you, it was one hand on the wheel, and she had that thing shifted, and that sandwich was ready to have it take a big old bite out of it. And I said, no, 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 no. And she still kind of proceeded to eat it. And I was just like kind of in awe of what was happening. And I sat back in that little jumper seat and I went, she's not going to make it. And after that day, she said something to management about just feeling like it wasn't working out. And I just said, and I told them about the breakfast sandwich. I told them that I said that was huge. That was completely, unprepared for that. But I told her, I said, you can't drive while you're eating. I said, maybe if you've put a good amount of years in, you might be able to reach down for a peanut every now and then. But I said, you don't want to be brand new, let alone 18 years in, and know that you don't operate the vehicle while you're trying to wolf down lunch or breakfast. She wanted that breakfast bad. But I told her, I said, we can't do this.
So that's a great segue to my next actual set of questions. I have two questions, and after that, we're gonna go to the rapid questions real quick, okay? But
ready to go.
But this is a good segue, just what you were talking about as far as the training. So my question to you, because I got a lot of younger audiences that are out there that watch.
Listen up, youngsters.
Definitely no dig at the new people because everybody's a postal worker. So any answer you give, I want an honest answer for your perspective, just your perspective. And again, this is not me. I'm not a carrier, but
I am.
How do you perceive the new generation of postal workers in terms of their work ethic and commitment? Some people view them as entitled or lazy. What's your experience or observation?
Hate me if you want to, folks. I'm going to give you a ratio. I'm going to give you for every 10, there's one. For every 10 people that I believe that are coming in the new wave, because I have the numbers to back it up in my tiny station, where we have seen 10 people come through in the last 375 days, let's call it, just over a year, and last barely 1 week. 1 week.
Shit.
Because yes, and I've got a different story for almost every one of them as to what happened for them to meet their demise so fast. And of course, upper management loves to have this theory that the carriers aren't training good enough. And I'm like, fuck you. I, I said, do you hear me, management? Fuck you. Okay? Because we are so anal retentive. I know my ass is, and I know that my man who was in the military, who was a sniper in the Gulf, who does our training, great guy, and he tells them straight up, if you're not doing something right, I'll tell you the first time nicely. You do something wrong the second time, I'll try and be nice. If you mess up the third time, I'm going to tell you, yo, get your shit together or we're going to have a problem here and you're not going to really succeed. You got 90 days. You got to show us something here. So yeah, I have those numbers in just my tiny station. But if I scroll back a decade to say from the introduction of the CCA, just however long it's been now, I can't even put a time frame on it because it just feels like it's been around for a while, but not 18 years.
2013-ish. I think they
2013. Okay, 12. Roughly 11, 12. Okay. I have seen in my station 15 routes. We need 15 regular carriers on our complement, 3 T6s, and 2 PTFs, and that's our complement. We have not been at that number in 10 years. You have retirements, they aren't replaced. If they are replaced, they're not nowhere near, the caliber of what a carrier who was hired, who took the civil service exam, who got drug tested. Again, hey, listen, you want to take a little puff of the tea, but I think that's perfectly fine in 2024. I don't think the post office cares too much about it either because they're not really looking at it. But the problem that I'm saying, from the old generation to the new generation is we took that civil service exam and it was hard and you had to have a memory, and memory is a big thing that's not being used now in the carrier world because the little fancy device you take out with you is telling you where those packages go.
Everything.
And I said, you have to use this to be an efficient carrier. I said, now people, of course, have made it in my station, and have made the cut.
Can I add something that maybe you can piggyback on?
Yeah.
Do you think that the technology that they're giving us today is dummying people down?
Oh, absolutely. 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 The static route, the static route is, I don't know. It's like there's something like something wrong with the shirt where the static thing is or whatever. Okay, but that's what it's called, static route. So come in, and a new carrier will be told you're going to go out and do a static route while a carrier prepares the mail for you to go out and deliver some mail. So we got parcels from several different routes, and we're going to set it up in the computer that's going to transfer it to your scanner and tell you where to go in sequence. All you have to do is use the load feature to say, truck package 1 closest to your body in the truck, package 2, package 17 behind it. And it's like, oh my God, I said, you have to be able to go out there and now package business has picked up. So there's more packages maybe than there was when I was, but there was so much mail and there were 19 routes I had to learn at the time. We've had 4 abolished over like the time with the reduction of mail and with the runners. But at the same time, I appreciate the tech to a certain degree, but with this job, it has to be your memory that's telling you. I had 121 packages today. I could tell you every one of them in my head today that I delivered. Every address over that 20-mile span I cover every day. That it's a reflex. I use the load feature on the scanner because they want to see that's the accountability thing. They see the package go from showing that you have a spur and then you scan it, load truck, and then it shows green on your scanner. Now you have to make that green go away, and you have to make that disappear on your scanner in order to go home, to leave and have the supervisor clear you to go home, showing that you scanned everything that you left that office with, that you scanned at the office. So the tech is good to a certain degree to say for the carrier, when you hit this package look ahead, you say, okay, before I leave this area and I deadhead a mile down the road in my truck, I want to make sure I don't have to come back. So I can pull that up and say, but I rarely use that feature because I just again, it's a reflex. It's like, I know I had one for them. I rarely have to turn around and go back. I imagine people are going back to stops 50 times a day because of the tech, because they're saying like, well, I remember I had one, but then I kept having to backtrack. I looked at the scanner and then I forgot that I had this one. And I just said, you can, people write them down sometimes, but they don't want you wasting that time writing it down. They want you to look, load, and go. So that turn by turn direction thing, you have to kind of go through a couple of steps with the scanner, and you have to exit. And believe me, just to hit on a route and go, you have to do a series of, like me. Me especially. I have to prep multiple routes usually. That's my thing. Like I'm the mass caser of the office. So if there's open routes, which there always are, it's like, shoot, I want you to case these 2 routes, then go to yours. So I have to move on that scanner like 15 times just in the office before I even deliver a piece of mail. And it's like, could they have set this up to be any more like, again, do they want you to fail? No. Do they set up a situation to make you fail? Absolutely. I said, you really have to just like constantly pay attention to what you're doing. I mean, in any job, you have to pay attention, but I just feel like that, the longer you've been there, the more they're going to jump on you about missing something, as to where with the new people, they expect failure. They expect it and they just kind of let it slide. Eventually they might say something to them, but I've seen so much stuff where I said, of course, they're going to come to me and say, can you show them this again? Can you show them this again? And I'm like, yo,
So
said,
you don't think it's the management or
well, when management tries to teach carrying, it's the worst thing ever. They think, I'm sorry, and again, it's back to my station. There's one carrier out of my 3 management team. 2 of them never carried mail before, and like I tell the carriers that are coming in, do not listen to a word they say about how to carry mail. They can tell you an estimated time they want to see you out there for, but they don't know dick about carrying mail. You talk to me, you talk to Bob, you talk to Jim. I said, we know what we're doing. Do not let them tell you how to do something involving carrying. You went to the academy, you had a carrier train you. You had an OJI train you. You get my phone number immediately. There's 50 people with my phone number right now who I'll never see again. At least they all have my number, but they're not with us anymore because they washed it. They got washed out. They didn't make the 90, or they dug their own grave. So yeah, that's if we're talking about going forward with the new generation, it would be to say you gotta lay off the tech. Yep.
Another one. Next question, which will lead right into it.
Right. Rapid fire.
What are the challenges you see the new generation of postal workers facing, and how do their approaches to these challenges differ from those of previous generations?
Okay.
So when you started, just like you said, you didn't have a scanner to walk you through everything.
Nope.
You had to use your memory. So
yes,
what are their challenges, and how do you feel like their approaches are to those challenges?
Well, I firmly believe that when I observe a person in their first 5 minutes of them stepping in front of me, me and a couple of you, we're kind of Nostradamuses. we're certainly not able to predict the winning lottery numbers, but we can kind of do the postal lottery and say, yep, they're going to make it. And then we're going to say, no, not going to make it. And it's not to say that a person isn't a decent human being, of course. It's to say that when you don't ask questions, when we tell people ask anything you want, there is no dumb questions. Eventually, they might sound dumb if you ask them 5 times, over and over. But we tell it, if a person doesn't ask questions, call my phone after I gave them my number about something just mundane or just something very important. I say to myself, wow, there's not a sense of urgency. That is the main thing that I live on with anything I do in my life, and especially the job, is sense of urgency. I believe that's going extinct like the dinosaurs in our country right now. That I just don't really care that much. And you say like, and maybe you take the Gen Z approach and you say, well, then, if they're not going to do it, then I should stop doing it. You couldn't pay me to stop doing it. I'm always going to be locked in. I'm in that zone, and it's just really, it's hard for someone like me to say that, and again, I'll take the Pepsi challenge against anybody. I said, that's why I stay on that long route. I'm not making my life any easier by taking something that I know is not an 8-hour route and it's just like there because you get old.
We got a 5-minute warning, brother. 5-minute warning.
Okay. Keep going.
So here's a couple of random things, and just so people understand, this is just one of many little podcast things, and we'll be talking a little more in detail about different things. This was more of a straightforward thing. I know we have some vulgar mouths behind the scenes, and we will be getting a little frosty with it. But just a little shit. Rapid fire questions for you.
Go.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. Do you prefer
lots of coffee? AM coffee. Dunkin', baby. America, Postal Service runs on Dunkin'. Please.
There it is. Do you prefer the morning or would you prefer a night shift?
I love the morning.
Okay.
Used to be a night owl in the restaurant business. I'm a morning man now.
Rain or snow delivery? What's worse?
With an LLV, snow delivery. Rainy days can be pretty rough, but snow is the hardest thing to do in our current situation with those trucks, even with chains. It gets ugly in my town. You gotta be real careful. I've had a couple close calls.
Oof. Favorite snack on the go? What's your easiest snack for you to eat while you're on the move? Just like you said, the lady had the burger. No burgers in the truck.
I just keep reliving that moment in my head now. All right, on the go snack is definitely I like them Cracker Barrel sharp cheddar sticks. You just peel that plastic back and boom, that's a great little booster throughout the day.
Okay, all right. Favorite thing to do when you get off of work?
Come home and see my kids.
That's the blessing behind it. That is the blessing behind it.
To see it, man, they're waiting for me a long time sometimes, and man, I sometimes wonder what life could have been if had I maybe looked into something else. But this is it for me. I love the job, so and they know, and my son is enamored with me being the mailman. So, yeah, seeing the kids. Go ahead, next question.
Last question.
Okay, make it a good one.
This is a good one. If you had the chance to do this all over again, what would you today tell yourself on the first day of work?
Wow, you really didn't need to be that stressed about it. You're good. You didn't know you were gonna make it look so damn easy once you got it down. Yeah, the feeling of nerves and stress when I walked in there and said, this is like game changer for me, life changing for me. Not just the money I was making, the benefits, the 401k, the idea that I knew that I would have a job and it would be really hard for me to lose it. But I never put myself in that situation. So I said, Matt, Chooch, Matt's my real name. How you doing, everybody? I was very, very stressed, and now I feel so uplifted every day and thankful for the job. But you're gonna hear me bitch and moan about it too, because it's run very poorly, and they know it is. And people and anybody who's carried mail as long as me knows that it's a very poorly run place. But we're trying to do things here to change that. We truly are. We're not just talking here. I'm going to meetings. I'm talking. I'm getting the word out there. I'm following my man Tyler. That JH, fantastic, man and person and uplifter of the spirit of this thing. We're trying to change the culture. Hard work. Hard work starts with that. Can't just be complacent. Hard work. Anything else?
Complacency is the enemy of progress, Chooch. Love you, brother.
There you go.
What we're gonna do
Love you,
is we're
brother.
gonna shut this down in a second. Just for everybody, remember this is Mr. Chooch. This is JH.
I love you guys.
Unexpected expenses stressing you out? Get the money you need now with Loans for Feds, a program designed specifically for federal employees. Bad credit is not a problem. Application is fast and easy with same-day approvals. Apply now.